Welcome, one and all, to everyone's favourite podcast. Well, unless you're Mark Cartwright. This is episode number 73 of the Town Social, and another right roll snooze fest was served up in a 0-0 ball draw against fellow out-of-formers Reading. Both sides came into the game having only won one game in 6. The Rolls only winning 3 away games all season, scoring just 18. The onus was therefore on the Terriers to serve up a good showing after the utter shambles of a performance away at Northampton. Duff finally changed formation to 4-2-3-1, much to Killer's delight, but it looked sure some promise early on, with Town having the better of the chance in the first half, but ultimately a distinct lack of quality again from both sides in front of goal-proof Costley, and the Terriers limped home to a dismal 0-0 draw. The game was about as enjoyable as a smear test, and the hors d'oeuvres of the pre-match build-up even worse. Rambo shown the back door after 17 years of faithful service brought outrage from some on social media, while calls for Mr. Cartwright to be given the boot remain loud as ever. We want a change in direction was the reasoning coming out of the club. Well, if the club don't change direction on the pitch soon, we're going to be heading to mid-table mediocrity. I'll be your host, Nick Bowler, for this evening's Moanfest, and joining me, as ever this evening, is Mr. Gaz K, Tristan Batley-Cal and Andy K. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining this evening. It's great to see some comments on there already. Evening, Stephen Shepherd, Dean Ball, Feathers McGraw, class name, and Philip McKenzie. Lads, let's get down to it. I sense that it's going to be yet another Moanfest tonight. I mean, we'll try and keep it as light as possible, but I'm struggling, to be honest. But guys, just give me just general thoughts on the game, mate. Before we go into any detail, what are your thoughts as a Town fan right now? Because it's grim, as in it at the moment. It's just boring.
Well, he want a game of any great quality, that's for sure. Reading came for a point, and they'll have gone away fairly happy, I would think, considering their away form's been so dreadful. They were time wasting from minute one, and the good old referee, he was as generous as you like. I don't think he broke out a run all afternoon, that referee, by the way. The highlight for me was him booking Kasumu for a really good tackle, but you can't blame the ref. They played a really high line, and to be honest, the top three, we changed the shape, which everybody wanted. Everybody was demanding a change in shape. Duff had spent all week trying to convince us he wasn't actually playing three at the back, and it was a trick of your eye that you should think that was the case. And we set up 4-3-3 off, and it dropped into a 4-2-3-1 at times, and we pressed them quite high. They played a really high line. Harley Dean. It was like watching you run, Andy, Harley Dean, when the ball went over the top. I could hear his knees creaking from the upper tier as he tried to shift through the gears from first to second. And we, we tried quick transitions. Herbie Kane wasn't mucking about with it. He was trying to stick it in behind him. And we had a little bit of joy, to be honest. But to no great extent. I don't know how many shots on target we had in the first half. We had, a handful maybe of half chances. But we didn't create too much. But it was better, I thought it was better. I thought we were better on the ball. I thought we were better without the ball. And I thought, we put ourselves in a position to come back out second half and have a proper go. And then it was weird. The second half shifted momentum. It was almost like the Reading manager had realised at half time, actually, we're not that good. And they just started to do the same to us. They were turning our back four and we couldn't cope for it. And they probably should have scored. They had the best chance of the game. Sorensen got caught on his heels for a chance that came into the box from a free kick, and they probably should have scored. And if they had scored, I think it would definitely have ended 1-0. And we just really then, the game just petered out. It became a scrap. It was like we were relegated. It was like a relegation game rather than two teams that are pushing for the playoffs. The quality was that bad. I think the positives were, we saw Kasumu back, which is a real positive. I thought his cameo was decent. And actually, the much maligned Freddie Ladapo, I actually thought for 10 minutes he contributed to the game and made a bit of a difference, which was good. But I'm not sure I agree with Duff's view that it was much better, and all we needed was a bit of quality in the final third. I'm not sure that's accurate, but yeah, at least it stopped the rot. At least it wasn't another defeat.
Not another defeat, mate. But yeah, it wasn't sparkling, was it? It wasn't champagne football. Let's put it that way. Tristan, Dion Charles, I don't know, mate. I mean, he signed as being relatively prolific at this level, and he had a couple of chances yesterday, but generally snatched at him. What do you think's the case with Dion Charles? Do you think he's trying too hard? Do you think it's just he's a bit rusty, or what is it? Because to me, he doesn't look anything like the player that he could be that we saw at Bolton. What's going on, mate?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of try-hard going on there, isn't there? You know, there was, I think he had about 3 chances in first half that he kind of snatched out a little bit. One of them he could have laid Wiles on in a better position, and I think that summed it up, didn't it? Really, that you know he's just trying to get that first goal, innit? He's just trying to get that first goal, and to be honest with you, it just sums up where we are at as well. You know, I think there's probably a little bit of a lack of quality coming into the box, but then, you know, equally there's balls going across the box. I mean, I don't think he was on the pitch at this point, but late second half, Wiles fizzed one across box, keeper's flapped at it, and there's literally no striker in sight. You know, and it's screaming out for someone to just tap ball in back at net, and we just seem at the minute to be lacking. You know, I probably disagree slightly with Gaz that I thought we started relatively brightly, to be honest with you, and I actually thought that there was some decent passage of passing. We did press them high, and you know, the thing for me that, and I know I've said this on previous podcasts, you know, Nichol's starting when you've got you know, a strike force that's average height is about 5'9". You know, it just don't work, does it? He's putting balls up into the you know, these big centre halves, and it seemed like we were playing a bit possession football almost to begin with. You know, we were just trying to pick up seconds and feed off kind of those scraps and pick ball up kind of in that second third of the pitch to then try and start the attacks and stuff like that. So yeah, to be honest with you, it all the players just seem to be going through the motions a little bit at the minute, and there's a lot of apathy about there's apathy about the whole club, isn't there, to be honest with you, which is a shame given that there seems to be a lot of new things going on outside of or off the pitch. But yeah, and I will agree with Gaz that second half, you know, it were like we'd come out 2-0 up, wasn't it? You know, and we thought we didn't have to play, and they had to come out and, you know, really have a go at us, and you know, it's that kind of performance and that kind of you know, not laziness, but that it almost causes you issues, doesn't it? You know, we end up in a position where then, you know, they nick a goal and we're chasing his tails. And at this minute in time, we can't afford to go 1-0 down because we're struggling to get goals. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny old time at the minute.
Hilarious, mate. Ian Kilroy here, I'm going to call out. He's put here, when's the mass apology for Killer happening following public outcry of a 7th-place prediction? Mate, you should be on here. You shouldn't be posting on there. He's sacked us off. He wouldn't do that with Takes That Chance, would he? I'm just saying. Yeah. But anyway,
in favour of the Super Bowl as well, a completely plastic sport.
He's told us right.
It's not even a real sport, is it? American football. It's just fucking throwing balls at throwing eggs at each other.
You should be ashamed of yourself, mate. Right.
I think he's just struggling. He's struggling, Nick. And didn't his team get beat at the weekend?
Yeah, well, they got hammered, didn't they? Yeah. 5-0. He's lost 2 in a row. He's the next.
Just seen excuses he was flooring out. Trish, I think he's under pressure. He's under pressure
from the Grangemore Saints committee. from the guy who lives in Lepton, who's a multi-thousand-pounder.
Well, and actually, giving him an apology of finishing 7th, if he carries on like this, I'm not sure. I think 7th might be a pipe dream.
I think
like this.
I think it is, mate. At the moment, it's pretty dire. Rivet Ed Chiriwa was all right for a debut. Yeah, Andy, Tawanda Chiriwa, it's saying in Yorkshire. I'm sure it's not how you pronounce it, but Chiriwa. I thought he did all right. You know, he showed a bit of energy, enthusiasm, as players usually do, until Town beat it out of them. You know, he's tried to run at people, create something, till he kind of faded away. How did you make to it? As debuts go, I didn't think it was too bad. Do you think he could be the sort of player that gives us that spark as he gets chance to bed in? Is that the player we've been crying out for, do you think?
He's Karoma Mark 2. He's cut back inside and shoot against the defender's legs. So he did all right, and maybe he's got more to offer. But in that inside training video, you could see that that's his thing, to take a little couple of touches and then go across and then shoot. And he did the same thing. So he seemed to play in some different positions as well. So maybe he's giving us some versatility up front. They said he can play across the front four, whatever that means. So yeah, he did all right, but I wasn't that impressed. I've wiped the entire game from my memory. The minute, when you walk around back at Cowshed and you get to the bit where the opposition fans are coming out, I couldn't even remember why I was there. I just wiped it out of my brain. Thought, I'm not going to carry this with me for any longer. And I didn't. I walked down the steps and couldn't remember why I was there. Maybe that's my age. I don't know. But yeah, just meh. They looked like it was the first official go at a new formation. So they looked a little bit all over the place for me. And Charles is just trying too hard. He had a lot of arrogance about him when he was at Bolton, and I haven't seen that. So maybe that's just that I've saw what I wanted to see when I saw him play previously. But there was an edge to him that I don't think I've seen that when he's been playing for us. But the thing that worries me is if Reddy Ladapo's our next cab off the rank in terms of being a fit striker, how bad must Connor Falls be? How bad must some of the kids in the B team be to not get a chance? Because we can't keep repeating the Ladapo experience. Because that one little shimmy that he did, and then got a shot off. Fair play, but that's probably the only thing. That those 10 minutes were his best 10 minutes in a Town shirt. I completely agree. But let's get some youth in, man. Let's get Connor Falls playing. Let's get somebody who's got something to prove. I don't think he has. So for me, I don't get that. Just meh.
Just shows what a dire state of affairs is with injuries, isn't it? That Ladapo chance, he should have squared it anyway.
Yeah.
He's shooting from a stupid angle. He's never going to score from there. And I think, is it Marshall standing good there in the centre? Just square it to him. He's done the hard bit. He's shimmed it through. He's got past 2-3 players into the box. Just square it. I don't understand, but I don't think we deserve to win. I agree. I think Michael Duff, I don't think 100% agree with what he said, that we were the better side. I thought it was pretty even, to be quite honest, in terms of chances. I think we had some of the better ones in the first half, but Reading second half, if they had half a decent finisher, I think, was it Campbell who missed, I wouldn't say a sitter, but it was a very good chance.
Yeah.
And buries that's it, isn't it? It's over. So I'm not sure I 100% agree with Duff there. In terms of this formation, guys, what do you think is our best chance at a win? What's our best formation? Because all Reading did was they kept an eye line, as you said. They said, right, you haven't got the pace to get behind us, which we don't. We'll sit tight. We'll not give you a chance any time on the ball. But it's not like Reading just sat back. They came out and came at us, but we just didn't have any creativity or nous to be able to get through them. Everything was slow. No one making runs off the ball, just stood static. It's not good enough, really. It's not good enough. We look like a team that can't be bothered, and I know that's not the case. It's not lack of effort, but it just seems so disjointed to me. There doesn't seem to be that unity and understanding. Now, do you think that's because we've had so many injuries and we just haven't had a stable side? Do you think if they got 10 games with the same side, maybe we'd start to see those passages of play and a bit more understanding? But to me, we just don't look. We look like we lack energy. We don't look fit to me. We look
There's a bit when
lethargic.
That's a good word. Nichols' distribution I thought was way short of Chapman's distribution yesterday. The amount of aimless oof, and there were a couple of times where he messed about getting rid of the ball, and Sorensen should have been bombing right, and it was playing left back. Spencer should have been bombing left and offering an option. And there was one point where Sorensen, the ball went into Nichols' hands, and there was a load of space on either flank, and he should have turned and run into it. And he just turned around and just went, "Oh, look, there's some space over there. I might have a little wander over there." And he got a volley from whoever was stood near him. There was no urgency. There was no right. If I do something potentially explosive, we might get something from it. It's just like just so unaware. And you see other teams that have got that edge and that almost that arrogance and that they've got a purpose and they've got a cause that I just don't think we've got. I think it's possibly because we've got so many ins and outs. Who knows what team's going to turn out at Barnsley on Saturday, and that's going to be who's the least shite who gets something out of that. I mean, that's my local derby. That one, I can even walk to Jokwell from here. So we've got to be turning up for that. But they're even worse than we are at the minute. That lot from down the road. So just lack of being switched on, a lack of being energetic. I think Hoggy started really well first half, and there was lots of energy. First 10 minutes we were really good. We were clattering into them, and then it just like the atmosphere in the South Stand. People try, and then after 15, 20 minutes, because nothing's happened on the pitch, understandably, people just go, "Oh, well, it's another one of them." Yeah. And maybe the team did the same thing. "Oh, it's another one of them, but we're not going to create hope." So I'm interested to hear what his claims of mental. We've changed the mentality of this team, because I'm not seeing it. There's no hunger, there's no anger, there's no right. We've got a target to aim for. It just feels like we're lacking in characters. We're going through the motions, and we just need some energy from somewhere. And the only people that can provide it are the players on the pitch. And if they provide it, then they'll get backed. But yeah, it's not great at the minute. But we have stayed up. 2 years ago when we stayed up under Warnock and all that, we're all jumping up and down singing, "We are staying up." So I think we need to give it a rendition of that, lads, because we're staying up. Let's be honest. 49 points, we're safe. So there is a silver lining. But how many home games have we got left? Another 8?
No, not fucking.
I don't know, mate, but we're shit at home anyway, so it's not a positive with more home games, is it? Let's be honest.
My Hog highlight on Saturday, by the way, was about, I don't know, 15 minutes in. Spencer played the ball to Hog and he somehow hoofed out into touch, and he gave Spencer absolute bollocking. Just give me the ball, man. Don't tell me, which was my particular. That did cheer me up. I think the stats would say that it worked, and that'll be what Duff is probably hanging his hat on when he says it was much better, much more like what he wants, and we just lacked quality in the final third. We had more shots than them. We had more possession. We had more passes. The passes were more accurate. All of those things that modern day managers and coaches love. We're all in the positivity for Town. You're right about the squad, Andy. It was 5 more changes this Saturday, wasn't it? We brought back Tom Lees looking like a B grade Batman. Could we not afford like a clear mass? Like the Premier League one that looks like it was this shit. It looked like his kids had made it out of paper mache for him. I said, "There you go, Dad, stick that on your fizzog."
Wear this at work, Dad.
Honestly. But, 5 more changes going into that game, obviously were necessitated for a variety of reasons. And I do think it worked better, and you could see what he was trying to do. As I say, he obviously wanted to try and play the transition quicker. And actually, when we were pushing a little bit, it was Hogg and Wiles that were pushing on rather than Wiles and Kane and Hogg sitting. It was more Kane sitting, picking the ball up and trying to pick a pass in behind, which was quite interesting. But I think what really frustrated me was in stoppage time, 2 or 3 times Nichols got the ball, he looks up, and the attackers have run to the halfway, and we've 7 players, including Nichols, still in our own half, all looking at Nichols with their arms out. Give me the ball, give me the ball. That's the bit I can't get. Surely we should be having, as soon as Nichols gets it, we should be pushing to the halfway line. The centre half should be on the halfway line, trying to push their back four even deeper. And that really frustrated me that we just didn't seem switched on to a quick opportunity. I don't know whether it is a subliminal. I'm trying to get the right word. Whether the players, because it's Nichols and not Chapman, who they think may have better distribution, maybe they're looking short for Nichols because that's what Nichols wants to do. But that chance Ladapo got came from Nichols getting the ball and just pinging it straight over the top of their centre back.
Yeah.
So this thing about Nichols has got shit distribution. Well, in that moment, that was a fantastic piece of distribution. I just worry he's not switched on to it. So, and I thought that the fullbacks worked better as fullbacks in that game, but Sorensen kept getting caught on his heels 3 or 4 times. They played the ball in behind where you'd expect an advanced fullback to be running into, and he was still on the halfway line, and it dribbles out for a throw-in. So, I can see why Duff might argue it worked, but, he desperately needed a victory on Saturday. And at no point did I ever feel like we were gonna win that game. I did think, by the way, if we got 1, I think we could have gone on to got 2 or 3. I think if Reading then had to start to stretch the game, it really would have suited us. But we never really looked like scoring and winning. And Barnsley are in as bad a form as we are.
Mm.
So, the question on Saturday is he going to stick with that attacking formation, or is he going to try and change it to negate Barnsley rather than play to our own strengths?
Ryan said here, why did I get Barnsley tickets? I must be mad. Well, I think we're all feeling that, mate. I don't think we're going to see Classic.
Yeah, me too, Ryan.
Did you get them, Gaz, in the end?
Yeah, I've got some, after complaining.
Yeah. Oh, sorry to hear that, mate. Stephen Shepherd just too slow, Nick. I thought you said Nicholas then. I am slow, mate, but you don't need to say that. I think it's so frustrating, isn't it? It's so frustrating because, like you said, we had 3 minutes to go of injury time. Bolker has the ball. You're thinking, right, boot it forward. Then he passes back to Nichols, who draws on the ball. Then he passes it back to Bolker. Meanwhile, 30 seconds has gone, and you think, just get the fucking ball into the box. I mean, when your average height's 5'4", it is unlikely we're going to get anyone on the end of it. But if you're going to put it in the mixer, just show us that you at least want to win the game. And that's a frustration. You don't look like we can be asked, does it, half the time? I know they've been taught to do things a certain way, but when it didn't work, it ain't worked for 93 minutes. It ain't going to work for the last 2, is it? So just launch it into the box and, take a rollicking for manager if it's not what he wants you to do. But if you get a goal, it won't be rollicking you, will he? So I don't know. It's just boring, isn't it? I say it I'm getting fed up now because I'm saying this every week. I'm saying the same stuff every week. It's boring. It's boring to watch. It's droll. How many saves does keeper make? How many saves does opposition keeper make? 1, 2, all game. It's not good enough. It's League One.
And he is the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen in a township, and I've seen some shit.
We were limp.
And he was injured, by the way, Pereira. So not only that, he injured himself. He took painkillers during the game, so I don't think he was putting it on. And we never, other than Karoma's sort of blasting in the second half, we never tested the bloke. It was a piece of cake for him. Unforgivable. And I know Nichols didn't have a save to make either. But with a home team, we should be peppering that goal with shots.
We certainly should. It's worrying, isn't it? It's worrying. I mean, I've got a few notes pre-game as well. I thought it was fucking shambles. The turnstiles won't work for a start, so they had to start reading tickets because the system won't work. So backed up. Now this was Riverside. I don't know if this was like a system-wide thing. Turnstiles won't work, so you get in there. Speakers won't work. It kept like adverts showing on screen with no sound on. Then speakers come on, it sounded like there'd been stuff with a tea towel, so no one could hear any music or understand what was said. Bloke comes out with a look like they'd plucked out of Huddersfield bus station and just shoved him on pitch. Didn't know who were playing, what teams were. He just read out the players without any kind of build-up. Chawira, he didn't give him any kind of our new sign into it, that nothing of that. It was flat.
He's a Leeds fan.
But so what? But this is what I don't get, Tristan, because they're saying we want to build an atmosphere, right, for the game. If we build an atmosphere, get the fans on it, yeah, that's not going to build a fucking atmosphere, is that? It was absolutely morbid. There was absolutely nothing there to get the fans up for that game, pre-game. It was an absolute shambles. Shambles, mate.
I had this conversation though with Nick with someone on Twitter. Is it not just modern football? This, how many teams now do you watch that you really enjoy? We nearly got promoted back to the Premier League with Corberan, and people were asking for him to be sacked up until weeks from the end of the season. People didn't enjoy his football, and we Guardiola has got people playing this kind of football that's drilled to within an inch of the life, and and it's this, that, and the other. I watched the City and Leyton Orient game yesterday. Boring, completely boring. In the sense of City get the ball, Leyton Orient drop back into their kind of formation, understandably, but City just slow, languid, and none of it is enjoyable, but then how many teams have I watched this season that have come to town and actually been enjoyable? Probably Blackpool, that's it. I didn't think Birmingham were that enjoyable, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? It just seems to be the way that football is going, and then I guess the flip side of it is and there was a point made on X about should we have got rid of Johnny Ogg before now, as an example, and I tell you now, if you took Johnny Ogg out of that team, which characters are there in that team? There isn't, is there? There's go and pick nondescript player from any other club, throw him in that team, and it's just same. At least he's a character. At least he's got something about him. At least he has a bit of passion. Like Gaz said, he makes a mistake and he bollocks somebody else for it. at least it cheers you up for the afternoon, doesn't it? And it is. It's that. It's there is. People are saying there's no connection with the team and with the manager. Did we have any connection with Corberan? Did we have connection? You could name probably since I started coming 30 years ago, I could name probably 3 managers that we've had that I'd say had real connection with the club. And I think that's the way that football has gone. You have connection with managers seemingly when you have a bit of success with them. So I don't know. For me, it just seems to that does seem to be the way that football's gone.
It's part of this problem, Trish. You think that we've got, and we're as bad now. Everybody has a committee, and they have directors of footballs, and I don't sound like my dad, but in the old days, the manager would have an absolutely massive say in who did and didn't come to the football club. Are they the right kind of person? Can they work with them on a daily basis? Are they going to give them what they need? There's a lot of criticism. We spunk £4 million on 2 strikers. One appears to have joined the fucking balsa wood knee brigade, and the other one can't score for toffee. So, what we kept in. Taylor was our first choice. Was he Duff's first choice? Is that what Duff was really asking for, or is that what Cartwright thought we needed? I don't know.
At least, Gaz, we knew who picked those players at that point. These days, and I'm flitting to another thing. The medical situation at this minute in time. They're saying to him, who is? I think Oggy was saying to Duff, are you having words with the medical team? Oh yeah, we have words with the medical team. The medical team's got about 12 people in it. Whose fault is it? Whose who's going to put their hand up and go, actually, we're going to have to sort this out? Apparently, someone was telling me yesterday they had the same problem under Corberan, and he changed the way that they trained, and it seemed to work. So, was that all of a sudden Corberan ruling the roost and overruling people and sort of saying, okay, I'll take responsibility for this? I don't know, but quite as you say, Gaz, once upon a time, and some of the things may not have been better, but you knew where you stood with Alex Ferguson, didn't you? There seems to be less accountability on people these days, and you seem to be able to, you can throw stones, but the buck gets passed on, doesn't it?
It's a sign of the times, Tristan. I agree. I think the only two times I were really having proper connection and I'll call it synergy between the fans, the team, and the manager as one. Probably Wagner and Warnock. There's probably
Jacko.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, I'm struggling really. And you're right. All three of those really was more. I mean, I know Wagner was more. He was labelled as coach, but he had more control than that. And I think it is overcomplicated now with about 50 members of staff behind scenes, and do we need them all? Without umpteen coaches for this and that, and all members of staff at Canal Side and fitness. And I mean, Warnock just said to Ward, what are you feeling like? Are you ready to play? Oh, I think I'm all right. Right, you're playing. And that rate. Yeah. Whereas now it's like it's got to go through about 15 people ticking boxes to see if someone can play. And I think it is ridiculous. I think as a football club, we're wasting money on staff we don't need. With far too many staff. We're trying to run as a championship/premiership outfit behind the scenes in League One, which is just ridiculous to me. But I just think, Tristan, it boils down to the fact that if you see the players giving 100% and they're throwing it forward and they're really getting in, and the fan, putting a big tackle in early, the fans are like, yeah, get on it. We don't see any of that. We don't see any of that on the pitch. They look like they can't be asked. And I know what you mean. Like, I think football is a bit sterile these days. There aren't as many characters, are there? I think if you're a character now, most of them get shipped on because they're labelled as troublemakers and this, that, and the other, aren't they? And you don't see characters like you used to do anymore. But that doesn't excuse the fact of not busting a gut in the 80th minute to close a ball down, or just pelting it long, trying something different. Someone be brave. Someone try something different. Someone makes a run into the box. How many players were making diagonal runs, trying to drag defenders away, making himself available? How many times when we have a throw-in, does it take 30 seconds because no one shows himself for a throw-in and he's just stood there with ball waiting for somebody?
How many times yesterday did we throw the ball to nobody?
Well, this is it.
Honestly.
Storensen in particular. It was like just throw it down the line.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like watching under 15s.
Yeah, it was.
And all this adds up, like these little things just. And I know it's not the case, but it looks like they're going through the motions. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's another season that we've written off and we're just sleepwalking to the end. Mid-table mediocrity, because we ain't getting in the playoffs playing like this, that's for sure. We could be out the playoffs come Saturday. And with a team that we're aiming for promotion, that's a disaster. If we don't finish in the playoffs this season, it's an absolute disaster. And yeah, we've been decimated with injuries, but why? We're on. Is that 28 now? Is Pearson injured or is he just not? I don't know what's gone on with that.
Who knows?
Apparently he's injured, isn't it?
Contradicting stories, isn't there, that Pearson says he was dropped. I don't know where that. I haven't seen that, but I've seen contradicting stories that Pearson said he was dropped.
But if he's injured, that's number 28 this season. I mean, that's not a coincidence. That's not a fritz. Something is going on there. Whether it's the training, whether it's the overplaying people, whether it's the... I don't know whether it's the medical team or what, but that just doesn't... You don't get that many injuries. You just
Glennon
don't.
was talking about it, though, wasn't he, yesterday on Radio Leeds. And he said the thing is, though, it isn't just Town with this situation. Bournemouth have 11 first-team players missing from their squad, and he mentioned somebody else that have got a load. Tottenham. Tottenham's team this season has been 18-year-olds or under have played something like 2,500 minutes. It's and it's due to kind of various injuries and stuff like that. So, I think it's is there a focus on kind of fine tuning these athletes too much, whereas and as you say, trying to read all these kind of heart rate monitors and all this kind of stuff, rather than just saying someone, how are you feeling type thing. Is it too much?
The thing for me is that, have we looked at the injuries and gone, right, that's a contact injury that couldn't be prevented, or how many of these injuries are potentially preventable? Bearing in mind, you are always going to have somebody who hamstring goes like a rollerblind at some point. That's part of the nature of sport. So I haven't gone through them and ticked them off, but like his injuries, not because of anybody's bad management. It's one of those things that happens to young people. Miller's injury is an accident. Ruskin's injury is because of Eves being an absolute unit, and he sort of bounced off him about 4 times down at Northampton. So you can't legislate for stuff like that. So I think, to be fair to him, you've got to look at it and go, well, how many of them are preventable? Longwick pulls up within the first run that he tries to make in the first minute, and he hadn't even opened up. So there's something there for me about how ready was he, how warm was he, how well had he looked after himself. So I know nothing. I've no medical experience at all, but I think we've got to look at them and say 26, 27 injuries. How many of them are accidental injuries or injuries that come with, par for the course type of things that will happen, and how many of them are actually preventable? And then you can sort of go, right, we've got an issue. And I genuinely don't think we're that much different to other clubs in terms of the preventable ones. But you've got to be unlucky.
You've got him here, Andy. Nichols, elbow injury, 21 games missed. Maxwell, viral infection, 5 games missed. Chapman, no injuries. Lonvike, hamstring injury, 4 games missed so far. Pearson, ankle injury, 1 game. Bolker, ankle injury, 30 games. Tomley's illness, 1 game. Ruskin, obviously, knee injury. Ruffles. Did Ruffles start with the season with an injury, or was struggling to come back from an injury, something like that? It says no injuries anyway. Yeah. Brodie Spencer, shoulder injury. Turton, no injuries. Hodge, groin injury. Hoggy, knee injury, 3 games missed. Calf injury, 5 games missed. Wiles, foot injury. Kasumu, ankle injury, 6 games missed. Hamstring injury, 6 games missed. Kane, groin injury, 5 games missed. Iapenda, back injury, not sure how many games missed. Lass Sorensen, hamstring injury, twice, 15 games. Mikel Miller, hamstring injury. Although Miller's hamstring injury, 2 games missed. Knee injury, 13 games missed. Evans, toe injury. Karoma, back injury. Healy, knock, 1 game missed. Hamstring injury. Calf injury. Goes Ward, calf injury, 3 games missed. Knee injury, 6 games missed so far, out for the season. And obviously Taylor. So there's a lot of them that are muscle injuries, isn't there?
So they've got to be looking into that. They've got to be going, right, okay, what have we got in front of us here, and why are these? Because that's their job, isn't it? The sports scientists and the physios. So there must be some analysis that they're doing. They've got way more information than ever used to be available previously. It's the concern for me is that what are we doing about it? Yeah, we sacked the big guy. Well, it hasn't got any better, has it? But is that just contact injuries?
But we signed players with injuries, though. Now it turns out Taylor had an injury when we signed him. We paid £3 million for a bloke who was fucking injured. I mean, what on earth are we? What on earth are we doing? I mean, this has to start with. And in fairness, when you look at the list of signings that we've made over the last couple of seasons, more than 50% of them come with an absolutely atrocious record injury anyway. This isn't a surprise that Ely's a fucking sick note, is it?
No.
His entire career's been like that. And we
Well,
still... Sorry, mate, go on.
No, go on. Doesn't this go back, Gaz, to actually on the day, these lads, their ability is pretty decent. Healy, I would say, we haven't seen enough of Joe Taylor, but Healy to me stands head and shoulders above the rest of them as in terms of ability. Down at Northampton when he came on pitch, he won headers, he held the ball up, he played decent passes, and has that movement, because that movement I think is something that's massive that's missing at the minute. And but actually, is it that if these players didn't have such bad injury records, we wouldn't be getting a sniff of them?
Probably not, but you don't sign. We could sign Ireland, but if he's a broken leg, he's going to be no good to us, is he? He's only good if he's on the pitch, Ely. And yeah, you can roll the dice once or twice, thinking, well, maybe they've just been unlucky and they might have better luck with us in it. But you can't sign, like Gaz says, we've signed loads. Miller, he was unlucky with his injury, but he had a massive injury record. Kasumo had a massive injury record. And lo and behold, he's out again. But there's loads we've signed that, and then we wonder why these people are hardly ever playing, and then I guess that puts pressure on the others to play more. And this is why they start then picking up injuries. And I guess it's just a vicious circle. I think it's hard because there's so many variables, there's so many people involved, the people doing the medicals, the people recruiting them in the first place, the people that are training them. Like you say, guys, Joe Taylor, did he have an injury? Well, I looked at the training video and he looked like they were beasting him for hours on end. Well, if he wasn't injured then he would be by the end of that, wouldn't he? So, and if he was injured, why were we playing him? Why were we rushing him in if he wasn't ready? Because we had Marshall there. He hasn't scored bucket loads, but he tries his best and he has scored goals. Why did we not start in with Charles and just give Taylor a few games just to sort of bed in? So I don't know. I don't know who's responsible, but I just think it's a bit of a piss take at the moment because every single week it looks like we're getting an injury, and it's not just a couple of weeks and he's back. It's 6, 7, 8 weeks, and it's absolutely killing us. It's killing this season. Because now we're getting to the point where 6, 7 weeks out is pretty much the season done, isn't it?
Well, not only have we got all these injuries, we're bang out of form as well. And I can't quite decide whether one has led to the other. The continual chopping and changing, all the injuries has led to the bad form. But we had loads of changes when we went on the 16-game unbeaten run. We were changing 3 and 4 players every game. So I'm not sure that's it either. And if we don't find a way to start winning soon, either by chopping and changing or keeping the same, I don't really know. I guess Duff will make his own mind up on that. Then this season's going to be a write-off, and our Lord and Master was really clear. Promotion was the only expectation this season, and anything short of promotion wasn't enough. So, there will and has to be consequences. Everybody else in the club seems to be getting consequences, whether that be the stadium announcer or the head of the medical staff. Yet the two top protagonists, the man who got interviewed for his job again in the summer and a queue of fucking one, they still seem to be here despite all of this. I was thinking about the Mark Cartwright thing, and his experience of having a similar job in the UK was at Stoke. Well, that club is funded by a woman who's the UK's biggest taxpayer. Whatever Kev's worth, he's a fucking pauper outside of Denise Coates and Peter Coates. They can afford to have 745 members of backroom staff. They can afford to sign players on Premier League wages and not play for 12 weeks. We can't, because eventually and pretty quickly, Kev's going to get fed up of funding this. And then we really are in the shit. And even if he wants to keep funding it, if we're still here next year, there's restrictions on what he can and can't do. We're back to when he first took over, which is he can't fund the team in the way that he wants to. So, I'm really frustrated with it. It's really difficult to pin blame because it's everything. And also, I do wonder. Sound like my dad again. I do wonder whether modern day players really have the stomach to play when they think they've got a niggle. They spend their entire lives in academies, pampered to chuff. people wiping their ass for him, and they go in and the bloke, we'll send you for a scan, right? Well, I better do fuck all for a week then. You know, Danny Ward, who Warnock's here, plays every game, hardly kicked a ball since Warnock left. Out now for the season till, you know, Bert ain't going to kick a ball again for Town, is he? And he's going to get paid another season's wages. So you do have to question whether their desire is really. I don't want to pick on Danny individual. That's probably not fair, but you know, you have to question the mindset. Is probably a better way of putting it rather than desire. That they're all convinced they're all too ill to play or they're too injured to play. But there has to be, you know, if this doesn't sort soon, there's going to be consequences. Unfortunately, I quite like Michael Duff, but he'll probably feel the consequence before the two tossers at the top do.
This is what I was saying last time, Gaz, that you can't get rid of the team. Cartwright doesn't seem to be able to do anything wrong in Kev's eyes at this moment in time. So who's going to get the bullet? It's going to be Duff, innit? And I just think it's so wrong because he's a very good League One manager. Yeah, the football is sparkling. It's really boring. But is that his fault? Has he got the players that he wants to be able to do the system he wants to the best of his ability? I don't think he does. It takes...
The league's a grind as well, mate. You know, League One is a grind. We said that when we got relegated. It's a horrible league to play in. You know, even Birmingham, who have spent all that money, they don't really play sparkling football most of the time.
And bring it back to what we were saying before as well, guys. You know, ultimately, Cartwright's remit surely is everything on the football side. You know, and anything from the football, the position on the pitch. You know, the position in the league and all that kind of stuff. But equally, the medical side of things and all that side of stuff, the scouting side of it. Could you say that all three of those are performing well at this minute in time? No. You know, we the list of players that we've seen that he's brought in, you know, it's not great, is it? You know, we had this lad, and again, it's a bit harsh singling him out, but they brought Sorensen in at the start of this season with all this hype around him, and it's like he's made of the same stuff as Tom Lee's mask, isn't it? You know, it's just it just looks it looks afraid. He looks completely and utterly afraid, and he looks like he should have the ability to get up and down that right wing. And quite as you said earlier on, Gaz, there were points yesterday where Hoggy's putting a pass into him out on the wing that he's not getting to, and I'm thinking, God, if you can't be a step ahead of Johnny Hogg at this point in your career, you're struggling. Do you know what I mean? It just it don't ring well. Don't ring well at all. But quite as you say, I'm not sure that Cartwright will get he won't feel the pain that probably Duff will get first.
Let's read some comments, guys. Steve, when's Joe Taylor back? Don't know, mate. That were another shambles, wasn't it? So we had a video of him saying, "Oh, I won't be long. I'll be back in a couple of weeks." Then Duff says it'll be a while. So no one seems to know, do they? No idea.
There was something suggested yesterday at the game that it's worse than they first thought, and that he's out for even longer than they first thought.
Oh, brilliant. Feathers McGraw says, "How good's Bolker, by the way, guys?" Yeah, I like him. He's not great in the air, but other than that, I think he's got a bit of class on the ball, and he's the only defender we've got that can actually bring it out and pick a pass out, drive us up the pitch. I just wish we had more of him, really. He'll probably go in summer. He'll probably take one look at this shit and say, "I'm out of here," or I'll get injured again. Rivet Ed, a Heffley white, yeah, right now would be great for the dressing room. Well, I don't think you'd be out pushed to find anyone that would argue with that. Rivet Ed, I think we're desperate for characters like that. Like you said, Tristan, they're few and far between these days, but just somebody to get behind. I mean, although like Michael Duff, I really like his straight talking, but he doesn't have the same kind of charisma as a Wagner or, you know, a Warnock, does he? So I guess that kind of comes from some of the players and characters in the dressing room. And thoughts on our mate Bojan leaving on loan? To me, that's just all the more baffling, really. Gaz waving goodbye. I'll come to you in a sec, Gaz. For me, my thoughts is shit. But you know what? He's the only striker that were any different to all the others we had. So
He's
for
a
that,
new fucking Joe Lolly, isn't he? Oh, if we hadn't sold Joe Lolly, we'd have got promoted. Fuck off. He was absolutely toilet. How on earth we ever paid all that money for him, I'll never know. How his agents got him a move to the Eredivisie, I don't know. He must have the best agent in the world. That bloke thought he was leaving in the summer, and everything I saw this season was a bloke who wished he'd left in the summer. So good riddance to him. He won't be back.
Nah, will he hell?
I mean, fairness, he was right. Huddersfield is boring. He's not wrong, is he? In fairness to him, it's awful, isn't it? Even KFC shut down in town now, but just even KFC shut down in Huddersfield Town Centre now. That's how bad it is.
Oh, you're joking.
No, there's no KFC, Nick. You've got to go down Leeds Road.
Well,
shocking
I'm
news.
not going in anymore, mate. That's it. Didn't Lasse Sorensen get injured? Won't surprise me, but no, I don't think. I think he just cramped up because he had to run. Yeah. He did some running and we're not used to that.
His body went into shock and he had to be taken off because nothing fell off him. So, yeah.
Ian's on the piss, nice and professional, and he should be podding. Nice one, mate.
How was he going to survive?
At least one of us is having a good time.
He's not got a chance of getting away quite too long when it kicks off or something.
Yeah. He'll be drinking some like homemade fucking rosy wine or something he's made in his shed, won't he?
Crocheted wine or something he'll be drinking.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Made out of, I don't know, wood chippings or something. So yeah, he'll be nice and healthy.
James Murgatroyd, we need to spark into life. I've been waiting fucking years for him to spark into life, mate. I think that spark's long since distinguished, but we still have a playoff place to go for, would you believe? Yeah, we do for now. But I don't know. It's not looking good, is it? It's just not. I don't know. But anyway, I think
playoffs. Sorry, Nick. What do you think we need to get in the playoffs, points wise?
I mean, normally you'd say probably 75 up, would you?
So that's
like that.
We probably need to win half of the games we've got left.
Yeah.
Are we doing that?
No.
Not in a minute, anyway.
Not at the moment. We don't look like we could have still been playing now when we wouldn't have scored. You got to score goals to win games, haven't you? That's the problem. But let's just because we had a suggestion here from Nonsense HTFC on X to do a bit of a segment on Cartwright and the signings that has come under his tenure, because there's been a lot of noise about him recently. Well, there has for a while, but he's just asked if we can do a list of all the signings under hit or miss. So we've kindly provided a list of all the signings that's come in since Cartwright's joined us.
Have we got a sound effect for this, Nick?
Like we haven't got
and then a buzzer.
You could make one.
I know.
I'm doing noises.
I wanted to create a jingle or something like Cartwright's Corner or some Cartwright's Fuck Ups or I don't know, but
Cartwright's Compost Corner.
Yeah. So we're going to have to up our game, lads. But anyway, let's start in 2023. So summer 2023, Ben Wiles. Now, Killer would obviously say that's the best signing we've made for 10 years. But I think he's been all right. He's created, he's scored. He's probably as good as midfielders we've had, really, in terms of end product, isn't it?
He's been better this season. I thought his first season he was poor. He struggled at Championship level. I think this clearly is his level. He's been much better, and he is a bright spark when it comes to what little attacking play we have. So he's definitely better, and he's clearly a Duff favourite. He's the one Duff always leaves on, and he's the one Duff always picks. So he's clearly got a lot of belief in him.
Wasn't he another that we signed injured? Didn't he have an ankle injury all last season?
Yeah,
it was, Chris. You're right.
Yeah. And I think he struggled with that.
And I don't know how much of that were Warnock either, saying you need to sign this bloke. I don't know really. Maxwell, I mean, as backup keepers go, he's all right.
Tommy Tonks did him though, didn't he? So he's been.
He did.
By Tommy Tonks.
I think that giant bloke punching him in his face probably had as much effect as Tommy Tonks.
Yeah, I mean that was ridiculous.
He absolutely mullered him, didn't he? Went ball in there. Yeah.
Oh dear. Delano Bergzorg. Well,
that's
I mean, infuriating with us, but
Borough
obviously a
fans love
talent.
him, you know. The Borough
Yeah.
fans are loving him at the minute.
I liked
He's
him.
not doing bad, is he?
I
I
liked
liked him, but it frustrated me because he won't pass, would he? He was too
You'd kill for
selfish.
someone like him in the team now,
Oh,
wouldn't
God,
you?
yeah, wouldn't you?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but anybody, mate. Like, that's
Who
not
were we
saying
playing
much,
when
is
he?
it?
Who were we playing when he stood on the ball and
Not
did
Borough.
that during
Yeah.
game? I still love him for that.
Edwards, Tom, fucking hell.
Oh, I
Tom
was
Edwards.
he announced?
In fairness, lads, if I made as big a mess up in my job as signing Tom Edwards and what Mark Cartwright did, I'd expect to get the sack as well. That's
feel
how
like-
bad he was.
Wow.
I
Is
feel-
he your Bojan, Chris? Is that where we are with this?
Oh,
Is
it
he
was-
your Bojan?
Well, I went to Ellen Road, so
Yeah.
I have that nightmare still.
Yeah. I don't think that was entirely his fault, by the way. I think he got absolutely hung out to dry. But he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't fit. He struggled at this level, let alone championship level.
Another one who wasn't fit when signed.
Yeah.
There's been very few occasions where I've sat and watched a sports game and thought this individual is absolutely clueless to stopping what's going on around him, but that was one of them.
You never saw me play for Net Terriers then, did you? So,
He was a long way around you, though, Andy, wasn't it? That was
exactly, mate. I was
Oh,
a
he's-
formidable opponent for the amount
You
of
had,
time.
you had to go
it
to
took
edge
get
of
around
18-yard box just to get round him.
So we've only really won it. So, and talking of liabilities, Bojan in 24. I mean, it's got to
Massive
be a
fan.
miss, hasn't it? Massive
fan.
miss. Matos. Oh,
I quite
He was
liked
all
him.
right.
I thought he's got a bit of something about him. I mean, he's got another loan at championship level. I don't know how he's doing at Oxford, but I quite liked him. When he came in, he brought something we didn't have, which was energy, wasn't it, at that time?
yeah.
Above average, wasn't he?
Mm.
Reece Healy. Well, I mean, a good player, but only when he plays, and he hasn't.
It's got to be a miss, hasn't it? It's got to be a miss
Yeah.
with that record.
And with that price tag, a massive miss as well. Complete
point.
waste of money.
Yeah, good point.
Radinho Bolka, yeah.
I think he's got every. He looks a hit, but the question is, can he now play 10 or 15 games without getting injured? If he can't, then he could well be a miss because he's no one that's on big championship wages.
Yeah. Anthony Evans, he's not lived up to the hype, has he? He's not really. He came in with quite a big reputation from Bristol, like their best player. He's going to do this, that, and the other. Really done like anything, really, has he?
I think with Evans though, he has suffered from probably him and Wiles don't work together at all. And it's him or Wiles. And I think when he's played in the team, when Wiles hasn't played, he's played with probably Hoggy and Hodge. So I think probably I do feel for him a little bit, but equally, yeah. In terms of judging him, he's not been great, has he? He's not had a great time.
It's a miss for me so far on that one, really, until he starts showing more. Sorensen, well, again, similar. Came in with all this hype. It started all right for me, quite direct, but since his injury, it's like he's scared to run, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, again, not great, is it? Mikel Miller came in with a massive injury record and surprise, he's injured again, although it's a bit of an unlucky injury, that last one. Yeah. And he did show promise, didn't he? He did all right. He did all right. So maybe we're on 4 hits out of all these so far. It's not looking amazing. But Marshall, he's been okay.
Yeah, like him.
Okay. Kane, well, he wasn't fit when he came in. He had a spell where he did better and he looked like the player we thought was signing, and then he went off the boil again a little bit. I mean, I think potential-wise, like he's got a good pass on him, but he just doesn't seem at it for me at the moment again.
I think he's a hit just for that goal at Wickham.
Yeah, and he's playing regularly, which, unlike most of these, because we're saying some of these are hits, and we're saying Miller's a hit, but it's all potential.
Yeah.
Same with Bolker, we're saying he's a hit, but what's Bolker played? Half a dozen games.
Yeah.
Bit early to judge, isn't it? But anyway.
I guess Longvike's similar because he's looked okay in spells, composed on the ball, bit too lackadaisical sometimes for my liking, but he's shown a bit of quality. But then again, he's injured again, and who knows? And Freddie Ladapo, I mean,
it's a miss, isn't it?
Least said the better, really.
Yeah,
I don't want to be mean.
He's not hit the target.
Well, and also the fact we gave him a 2-year contract, I mean, that makes him a miss for me. He's he's another one that'll earn the season's wages next year and probably never kick a ball for us.
Yeah. And Joe Hodge, again, got injured. He's not shown much, really, for me.
I've seen 45 minutes good from him, and then the rest has been pretty average when he's played. And
then we move on to this year. Taylor, well, he's injured. So, again, who knows? I think on paper, it's potential to be good. But Dion Charles, really disappointing so far for me. He's done nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Roofskin, the bloke got sent off after 6 minutes then got injured. So, I mean, he couldn't really be any worse so far, could he?
No.
Chawira, I haven't really seen him much, have we? So, all right. So, I'd say there's probably 4 that you're confident to say we're a hit out of all them players. The rest are unknown. It's not great, is it?
Are we not including Brodie Spencer coming back from Motherwell?
Like a new signing. Like a new signing. We're fucking out, mate. No, we are not. No, we are not. I mean, lads, I don't know what he has to do, but I just something like there's part of me that thinks, we're probably not ready to go up this season because we're an absolute shambles. The players' mentality, as much as the club keep coming out with this, the mentality's changed. And how many times have we said that? Mentality's changed. We've had words in dressing room and all this and the other. Same shit we're seeing week in, week out. I don't think this team's ready to get promoted this season. I think we'd be absolute cannon fodder if we went up, to be quite honest. That might be a hot take. I don't know. But to me, I don't think we're ready. And I think there's potential. There's a big overhaul due in summer, pretty similar to Birmingham this time. There's a lot of players leaving. So if there's part of me that's thinking, do you know what? If we didn't go up, it wouldn't be the end of the world. We can regroup. We get new players in with new mentality, start fresh, give Duff the players he needs for the system and crack on. And then there's the other part of me that's saying, yeah, but look at Donkey who's in charge of bringing these players in. What does... And that just fills me with dread because I don't want to be too mean or say anything, but to me, I don't know how Cartwright can still be here. They keep saying he's done an amazing job, but we're worse off than what we've ever been. For me, we're playing poorly. The players aren't performing. We're sliding down. I don't. To me, if we don't go up this season, he's got to go, surely. But Kevin doesn't see. Mr. Nagel just doesn't see any wrong in him. I don't understand. Help me out, guys. What? How is he still here?
I think you're right, Nick. In and around the thought that this season might be too soon. You always think when teams get promoted, they have this momentum, don't they? That carries on. If we went up, about 8 players, 9 players, 10 players are leaving. And wouldn't it be typical that Town got promoted and be the team that had no momentum from promotion and quite as you say, bombed again, and you're trying to do a rebuild within the Championship. You're asking for trouble, aren't you? And I think the rebuild has to be smart. The rebuild has to be. And God, it does get a bit tedious, doesn't it? That we always go back to Wagner's era and all that kind of stuff. But actually, the rebuild has to have some kind of master plan or strategy behind it that is quite like that. Where Wagner went and he bought, or Webber went and got, Lerver club captain, Heffley club captain. Schindler, club captain, and all of a sudden 3 signings that were made probably before the end of May. It looked like we were making a statement. It looked like we had actually an idea. We weren't in a warehouse in Cleckheaton, doing kind of SAS treatment to players. It actually felt like we had a plan, and we were looking for a certain type of player, and we were looking for leaders. God, was it the end of Warnock's first season, or the end of the season when Warnock was here? I think it was that season when he said there aren't any leaders in this team, and have we addressed that? That to me is scandalous.
There is no plan, Tris, and Rivethead says it here. We've gone out and spent, I don't know, £4 million on 2 strikers, and it just feels like we've picked 2 strikers who we think are really good footballers. A bit further up, Nick.
I'm just putting that on as well, Gaz. Just to
the point. I think that's a really good one. I know Kev's investing in the academy. I guess it'll take some time, but we clearly, as you said, Andy, how bad must Connor Falls be if he can't even get in the match day squad, let alone anywhere near the first team? So it does need a strategy twist on it, and that's what feels lacking to me. It does feel very scattergun, the signings that we've made. Duff said he was going to play 3-5-2, and our team would only be as good as the wing backs, and we never really signed backup wing backs. We then signed some. We signed one in January, and he's managed to get himself fucking injured as well, hasn't he? So it does feel like there's no plan. And I think if we get promoted, our objective has to be stopping in the Championship. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. We're going to go for the top 6. We're going to be up there with the. We've just got to be realistic about where we are, because it will be a big clear out, and it'll be a change in direction. And as you're rightly saying, Nick, the worry is, do we trust the current senior regime to spend? I mean, the good news is, Kev can afford it, but the rules will only allow him to spend so much money, and he's clearly stated he's going to stick to those rules. But he's going to be, if we don't get promoted this year, he's going to be looking at 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 season tickets next year. Crowds are going to be sub 10,000 for midweek games, aren't they? And when it gets cold, I hate to say it, but I will say it, but I don't know how many times I've said it. This league is a fucking graveyard for ex-Premier League clubs like us. It absolutely is. So we've got what we've got now. Mr. Duff has to try and stitch together what he's been given and find a way back into form and find us a way back up the league. Because if we don't, it could be a long few years. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely 100%.
That's a point from Rivethead that, any other football club that spent the money that we'd spend, you'd expect them to go forward, not backwards. And he's right. I think we're lucky we've got a chairman who's willing to put his hand in his pocket. Now, you can't guarantee that's going to be the case forever. What if he says, well, I keep putting money in and I'm getting nothing in return, so bolster this. I don't have to keep putting all that in. We're lucky we've got someone who's willing to invest, but that's a frustrating thing that I think is putting too much faith in the wrong people. And if you've got the people right, with Kev's finances and their footballing intelligence and nous, we could be a force. We could, but it just isn't working. We're going backwards. And to me, the worrying thing is he won't realise until too late, when we're probably scratching around mid-table League One, by which time the financial regulations have took hold, and we'll end up the next Charlton, won't we? Just sat League One, years on end, just meh.
Don't you think, though, fellas, like, and this goes back probably to reiterate the point around having no plan. Having seen Charles, having kind of watched him over the last few games, and I know people have called it out that they're all very similar. It feels like, as when I was a kid playing on Championship Manager, he's scoring a lot of goals, I'm just going to go and buy him. No idea around no idea around how he fits into the team or where he fits, or I think I said this last time on pod. There's a stat somewhere that he scored something like 3 or 4 goals in his career with his head. Like, is that really who we need to lead the line when we've got 3, 4, 5 other players that are a similar height and a similar stature? Is it? And that just screams of wasting money, doesn't it? I'm sure we could have gone and spent 500, 750 grand on, well, we've played against enough of them this season, big lads that played up front, and they haven't scored goals, but they've occupied our 2 centre halves or 2 of our centre halves, and that's what we're screaming out for is someone, little bit of movement, little bit about them, little bit of presence about them, just to shift, even bully defenders a little bit, just to work opportunities for other people, and we don't have anything. We're just static, really static.
I think it was in evidence when Charles and his header in, when that chance came, when Pereira parried that shot out and he missed from 3 yards with an header, which, yes, he was offside, but you got to bury them, whether offside or not, and somehow contrived to miss when it looked easy to score.
I mean,
I don't know.
Rhodes never was. He's fine in the air, I wouldn't say he's anywhere near as bad as some of the lads that we've got at the minute, but he had the ability to position his body in a way that he could either disrupt the defender behind him and win it that way, or he could take the ball down, and win it that way. None of these lads seem to have that kind of awareness or ability about them. They kind of just, jump about or bobble about a bit, and and we end up fighting for scraps, and it's just again, it feels a bit scattergun, doesn't it, with the transfers?
I don't know about the players, even the fans are getting injuries. James Murgatroyd's old man tripped over the curb at the ticket office and went down like a sack of spuds. He says, I hope he's all right, James. Send him our best. But I mean, that's probably the most excitement of the day.
I assume he's running away from the ticket office, so he didn't.
I was going to say,
buy any more tickets. He wasn't going to.
Well, he were running to return his fucking Barnsley tickets, wasn't he? Probably. Princess Fiona Clark.
Conor Kilroy, this is depressing.
Yeah, mate, you've got Super Bowl. What are you depressed about?
I'm going to say.
You've got to be depressed about, mate. Try coming on here talking.
He's just upset. He's upset because we've dug him out.
Exactly, drinking his homemade mead and watching American sport.
Go and sit on your tailgate and drink some Budweiser or whatever it is they do at these bloody things. And
pouring over his defeat yesterday.
They're a team that wears a big cheese on their head. Is one of them lurking this afternoon?
Did we mention that they lost yesterday, his team?
Oh, did they? Oh.
Yeah, they did. Lost 5-0.
Oh.
Yeah.
Apparently, they had a load of ringers though in opposition. That was like a parting shot.
The lads who used to play for Leeds, apparently, like Radaby, and like they were playing for opposition. Barry Browers,
Thomas Brolin.
No wheeling up front, didn't they?
That were it. What's his name? That Aussie lad, Harry. Harry Kewell? We were on wing as well.
Fiona Clark, of course, it would be wrong of us to not round off the podcast without discussing the termination of services of Mr. Paul Ramsden. Guys, caused a lot of hoo-ha on social media. Everyone knew about it before the club put a post out. Whether they put a post out because there was uproar or not, I don't really know. But the bloke's been with us 17 years. I mean, obviously the club are wanting to go in another direction. I mean, I think it's the least of the worries, to be honest, letting him go. But let's get your thoughts individually on it, because there's been a lot of talk about it. A lot of disappointed Town fans that he's gone. I thought he brought good support energy to it. But by all accounts, I think he there were some murmurings that the week before he'd said a few things and he wasn't happy with stuff, and so I think he probably knew it was on the cards. But I don't know. It's just a shame. It's sad because I didn't mind him. I thought he, as a fan, what you want to see from somebody who's reading these announcements is at least a bit of passion and someone that understands what being a Town fan's about. And I mean, I just hope that the next person they bring in is right, because whilst the product on the pitch is always going to dictate the atmosphere, I think it's important that we have some sort of decent build-up pre-game, because what's been on show ain't been right. So, Gaz, let's get all your thoughts on it, Gaz. What do you think about this, mate? Because it's upset quite a few, hasn't it?
Well, according to social media, Rambo is a club legend. Now, in fairness, as Gary Delaney has pointed out recently, the status of being a legend has been reduced from pulling a sword from a stone to coming back from the shop unexpectedly with crisps. So, I think that's probably where the Rambo legend stays. So I liked him. I thought it was good fun. I thought, he gave the away fans both respect and stick at the same time. And actually, if you speak to away fans, most of them remember and comment on Rambo and how he was. So, I think, and he was a Town fan, right? So he sort of got it because he was one of us. I mean, I don't know who the lad was they had on Saturday. So I just assumed Rambo was off or ill or whatever. I didn't realise it was a permanent replacement. And for a bloke who's given service to the club, I assume he gets paid on the match day, but he's going to get paid a lot. He's a two-liner from the club to say thanks for nearly a decade of service when apparently he's done it for 17 years. Enjoy it back in the stands. No doubt he's going to have to buy his own fucking season ticket now. But look, he won't get no free tickets anymore, will he?
Yeah, increased rate.
It's just symptomatic of the, what's the right word I'm looking for? Of the touchiness, probably isn't the right word, but they've got a bit of a soft underbelly, haven't they, the senior management, to what they see as unjust criticism. Having said that, Steve Shepherd says he called him a wanker. So if he did call him a wanker, then I guess it was only ever going to end in one way. So yeah, let's just hope they get somebody in that. And the one thing he did annoy me about Rambo was he just didn't seem to be able to read the team out before referee wanted to blow the fucking whistle. Just talk a bit quicker, Paul.
No,
I feel a bit. He used it forever, didn't it? but I liked him. I thought he was different. You go and listen to these away games, and their announcers are a nobody out there. But Paul was a Town fan and felt like one of us. So I hope he does keep coming to the games, and I hope he enjoys it. But fingers crossed they get somebody in that's going to keep us as engaged.
Tris?
Yeah, I didn't mind him. I thought it was a bit of fun most of the time. I think it's come from. I've been in H-Town a couple of times recently, and I think he upset Anthony Evans making jokes about Scousers not working, and he said something, and I think Maxwell made a complaint about him as well. I think one of the other players that had said something as well, and I think some of it is it's sometimes on close to the bone a little bit, some of what he says, but actually other stuff is it is always meant in good humour, and I think people are a little bit that way these days. I think you probably best describe him as our pain in the arse, and you appreciate that, and quite as you've alluded to, Gaz, I think I think he did give other teams respect and banter at the same time, but he always cared about Town, to be honest with you, and so it will be, we will miss him. It'll just go like we were alluding earlier on with modern football. It'll just be corporate, won't it? I think it was Richard Graves that did it yesterday, that were the old Sky TV, Sky Sports News presenter. It'll just go kind of, someone will come and it'll be a functional role that they read out the team, and that'll be that. Do you know what I mean? So, whereas it were a bit of fun on it, and quite as you alluded to. The other thing also, Gaz, was he always used to try and shake the away team manager's hand. That was something I always watched for as well. Quite bizarre, but it's never. All in all, it's never good when something like that happens, is it? And the club should probably have shown a bit more respect for him in terms of thanking him. But it also does sum up one of my biggest bugbears with social media, where it's become far too big a thing, hasn't it?
Another circus. And
I'm reminded of the song, the poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, There Was a Little Girl. So there was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very good indeed. But when she was bad, she was horrid. So I've always felt he's a bit, when he gets it spot on, when he gets it, like you listen to some of the footage that somebody put a tribute on. It's like the poor bugger's passed away, but somebody put a tribute on, and he did the introduction back to when we came back to the Premier League at the Newcastle game, and he got it spot on, and he got it spot on so many times. But on the flip side of it, I was in the White Rose last season, and he wasn't very good at all. And I'm not surprised to hear the stuff that you've been talking about, Tris, in terms of the level of banter. It was like, banter's not a good thing these days, whether you agree with that or not. So a lot of people on X have been saying he seemed to make their football experience. I can't hear what the bugger says anyway. So being where I am at Southstand, so I couldn't hear the bloke yesterday. I have no idea what it was. Probably still won't be able to hear they were, but I've got a lot of time. He seemed like a decent bloke. He was one of us, and I was prepared to forgive him his mistakes because he was one of us. So whoever comes next needs to be as good as Rambo was when he was fully on form, without the sort of the poor jokes that apparently have emerged. The banter that I heard in the White Rose Club just wasn't funny. It wasn't offensive or anything. It just wasn't funny. So but yeah, he's made the hair on the back of my neck stand up plenty of times from some of the stuff that he said as an announcer. So fair play to him. He can't be that pissed off with it because he came back to watch second half on Saturday. Apparently, he'd been announcing it at the Halifax Panthers. So and then he came back to watch second half. So that's a true town fan for me. Whether or not they wanted him to come back, bless him, I don't know, but he did. So fair play to him. So he's now back into being one of us, and we need to look after him.
You're on mute, Gaz.
Sick. I feel more annoyed that I caught a Gary Delaney and then you rolled out a poem from memory.
No, I didn't. I read it off the internet.
my Gary Delaney joke recall was from memory, so.
Well, fair dues.
Yeah. Michael Buffer.
Just want someone with more hair. Yeah. I mean, I offered my services, mate. I said I'll go on for a reasonable rate. And maybe me and Gaz could do a compare.
At the back again now. I wish they fucking weren't. That first half were terrible.
I'd love you to do one of your intros. I'd love you to intro a game like the Bonnie Blue one you did for Killer last week. Something like, here they are, like Bonnie Blue getting screwed again, these lads. Do something like that. That'd be.
Won't last 2 minutes. Would last 2 minutes before getting sacked.
They'll be crawling over themselves to get out at press box and that posh bit to get to you. That'd be funny.
Why are we here, eh? To watch this shite again. Anyway, welcome down the John Smith Stadium again.
Just off Leeds Road.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? Just off Leeds Road. That's the bit.
You're all mad for turning up to this. Watch this utter dross again.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
I had no ill feeling towards the guy, and if he's listening to this, I don't know if he will be, but if he is, I wish you all the best, Paul. I think it's a sign of the times, like you say, and you can't really have banter. I think if you're in a job for so long as well, sometimes you can get too comfortable and just not care what you say, and then it becomes a bit dangerous. I think when you're starting out, you watch things a little bit more, don't you? You're a little bit more cautious, and then the longer you're there, you just kind of slip a little bit, and And that's when it starts coming out. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, I just hope whoever comes in is a Town fan, because I think that does make a difference. They've got to be the right person. It's not an easy job. People think you just go on and talk, but no, and the hosting it's very, very difficult. And it's a very fine balance, trying to bring some humour, but also, as you say, not offend people. And that in this day and age, that is difficult, because people like being offended. They like being offended by anything these days. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how we're still going, to be honest, with what we come out with, but yeah, I don't know. But we'll see how that develops. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what develops. And I hope he keeps coming to the games and enjoys it with, like the rest of us, this fucking free-flowing champagne football that we're all enjoying at the moment. So, moving on, finally, to the last item on the agenda, and that's our next game away at Barnsley. Yeah? When did we last win at Barnsley? In 1958 or so. I can't remember us ever winning at Barnsley. It's not an easy place to go.
When Mido made his debut, we won 1-0. I remember that, because I was there for that. But that's the last time I can remember it.
Two poor sides playing poor football in shitty conditions. Whoop-de-doo. Gaz, you're going, mate. I'm going. Who else? Who's going to this one, by the way? You're going, Andy. I'm going, which is a rarity away. I'm actually managing to get to a game away.
Connor's going to drive all the way from Ipswich for it.
Oh, I mean, that is pure dedication. I mean, he deserves to get it for note, doesn't he? Just for that dedication.
He's already winning in life by me being his dad. So, I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. And anyway. Gaz, this is gonna be tough, isn't it? I would say we have to win, but we've been saying that for weeks. How do you see it, mate?
Well, they're in as bad a form as us. They've won one in the last 6 and haven't won in 5, bit like we haven't. We've drawn one more game in the last 4 than they have. So they're not in great form either. They lost to a last-minute goal at Bolton on Saturday. I think they thought they were coming away with a point. We have to do something though, because the rest of those teams around us, those that played this weekend, Stockey won again, Charlton won again, Birmingham and Orient were in the cup, but both put in really good performances in the cup against Premier League opposition. I watched a bit of the Leyton Orient game, and actually they were really good. It wasn't a hanging on job, although they scored a wonder goal. So we have to find a way to try and win that game, because if we don't stop this sliding quickly, we're in big trouble. The calls on Radio Leeds after the game were saying, there's every chance we could drop out of the top 6, and I do agree with them. So I think it'll be low scoring, but I think if we can score first, I think we're capable of winning the game.
Tristan?
Yeah, I follow a few Barnsley fans on X, and got a couple of mates that are Barnsley fans who all are literally saying the same as what Andy's alluded to with how they're playing at the minute. So there is a lot of pressure on us to go and get a result. But I reckon come away with a 1-0.
Nice. Andy?
Biggest game of the season, this by an absolute street. So I can hold my head up around the streets of Barnsley, my adopted town. Love the place, love the people. But we've got to win. Apparently, they're not turning up until about 8 minutes into the game as a protest against their owners, because they won't get their hands in their pockets in transfer window. They're all grumpy as hell about it. None of them are going to be buying any food at the game or drinks. So they're all going to be very irritable, very thirsty, very hungry. So you know what that sort of could do to the crowd. If we can get another goal, that'll turn them into, and they'll all be heading off to pie shops before 30 minutes. So I'm hoping for a victory for the town. I couldn't put a score on it, because how on earth can we predict us scoring goals? But one little going off the back of one of their centre halves asses or something, and 90th minute will do for me. I don't care, just as long as we get over that line.
No fans turn up. Our team doesn't turn up till second half, so it's going to be a good game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stephen Shepherd says 0-0. God, I hope not, mate. I hope not. I can't deal with that. I'm I'm going with my best mate to this. He's a Leeds fan. But he was fed up of watching exciting football, so he said he'd come and watch with me. So if you see us, feel free to set on him. I'd think, I don't know, it's going to be boring. It's going to be scrappy. It's going to be tight. There's going to be no quality whatsoever. It's going to be freezing our nips off sat there. But I just have this sneaking suspicion, that we could grind out a 1-0. I hope so. I cannot stand another 0-0 snooze fest having one shot on target in a game. I can't do it. I'm just going to get pissed before and just hope that we can make it through and have some ray of happiness at some point in the game. A goal or even just putting some decent tackles in, showing a bit of fight. That's just what you want to see, innit? I think it's asking too much to be entertained at this point, but it all rests on the thing is, if we go goal behind, it's over. We don't win when we go behind. We haven't all season. So if we go a goal behind, we might as well go and have our pint down the pub and call it a day. If we go a goal up, we'll see it out. We're quite good at seeing it out from a goal up. So I think we'll score from a corner, scrap a 1-0. We'll be safe from relegation, Andy. Fine, we'll be over 50 points, so we can all crack open the champagne and celebrate that, and then move on. So, but I think we'll leave it there. We've done a lot there. It's been another really upbeat, happy pod. But what can you do? It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. We're saying the same things. We're saying the same things every week. And look, we appreciate all you guys for subscribing and joining in the conversation, because it's hard. It's hard being a Town fan at the moment, and it's hard to just repeatedly say this, just the same thing over and over again, the things that we need to be doing and not seeing it. But we all feel each other's pain, and we're all here for each other, and we'll get through it. We'll see a good team one day, maybe, hopefully. So please, guys, if you could subscribe to YouTube and Spotify, follow us on X. That would be much appreciated. It really helps the podcast out. Keep supporting us. What's that?
Well, that was depressing. Cheers, lads.
Nice one. Well, we aim to please, mate. That's what we're all about in the Town Social. But we say it as it is. We call it as it is. If we were playing decent and we were winning, we would be really positive. We have been in the past, but it's just tough going at the moment, innit? And we've got to look. We aren't shackled by any constraints or anything. We just say it as it is. We just talk how we see it. By the way, talking of constraints, when's Laurel and Hardy's online press Q&A?
17th,
premeditated questions. 17th.
I think I've just plugged that.
You'll be invited as a club.
I'm not.
You'll be getting banned from sponsoring anybody next year. You Andy, now you've been on here.
I'm not getting involved.
Well, that'll be fun, won't it? Loads of pre-prepared, sterile questions, giving no answers.
So Mark, how do you remain so young looking and tanned?
What tanning booth do you use?
No, he's down in it.
Anyway,
Taylor was contractually obliged to thank you in his introduction meeting.
This is why, guys, me and you would never have any questions accepted on that. There's no point us even sending a question in, is there? Because it won't get.
Keeping the fingers crossed that me and you cross the barrier one day and jump on pictures, so they can ban us for life.
So they can ban us for life.
That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for us to slip up, Nick. They're watching us.
But they can't ban us on here, mate. They can't ban us on here.
They can't silence.
We will not be silenced.
There's about 45 people on YouTube praying we would just shut up.
Right, guys, we'll call it. Thank you very much for listening, as always. My name's Nick Barlow. Joining us tonight has been, as always, Gaz K, Tristan, Ratley, Carl, and Andy K. Thank you very much, guys, as always. Thanks for listening, and here's hoping for 3 points at Barnsley, for the love of God. Give us some positives to talk about next week. See you soon. Take care. Up the Town.
Up the Town.